Hey y'all, and welcome to the kitchen. Today we are going to make a delicious shortcut supper called Pasta Primavera. This is part of Italian month in Mama Whitten's kitchen, and I have been enjoying every single step of the way. So first things first, as always, while we're getting our dish built in this pan right here, we're going to get our pasta started in this back pan right here. I've got this pan full of water. This is about 10 quarts of water. You usually can read on your box exactly what you need, but almost always in a stock pot, just fill your pot up with almost full of water and then add your pasta in, and that way it'll get a lot of room to groove. So basically what I did is I put my water in and I'm putting a lid on my pot. The lid is going to bring my water up faster because it traps that heat inside. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start building my dish right here in this front pan. Now, Pasta Primavera is a vegetarian style dish. We don't have a completely vegan situation because we have cream and butter in here, but there's no meat in this preparation of pasta, which makes it perfect for springtime because it's light and delicious even though it's rich and creamy. So I'm going to start in my pan with about 3 tablespoons of butter. And 3 tablespoons of butter is very easy to measure because each tablespoon is marked on your stick, or you could also look at it as like an inch measure. Every tablespoon in a stick of butter is about an inch on that stick. If you have a brick instead of a stick, easy way to do that is about 1/4 of a cup of butter is what you need. All right, so 3 tablespoons in. And we're going to just get our garlic and our onions started first, our fragrant pieces. Because what we're going to do next is going to add our vegetables in, and our vegetables are our shortcut application here. I've shown you a couple of times before how much I love some freezer section vegetables. And those vegetables, honest to goodness, are healthier for you 9 times out of 10 than what you find in your produce section. Because we're learning that in the produce section, after something has been picked, it's losing its vitamins very rapidly. So once it's put in the freezer section, in that application, it's usually frozen almost within 24 hours of picking every single time. So that's going to have the best bang for your buck as far as the vitamins that you're going to get. And honestly, the price that you can pay for those will save you a lot of money. And the shortcut application, hello. The bag that I'm using of frozen vegetables today has 4 or 5 different things in it. And I'm not going to have to chop a single one of those. That's really good. So I've got 1/2 of an onion chopped here. I like my red onion for this, but you can use whatever you have on hand. And I'm going to get it into my butter. And as soon as I get my onion in, and my butter's about medium heat, just getting nice and melty. We don't want any color on it, just getting nice and melty and simmering. And I'm going to get my garlic in as well, about a big heaping tablespoon of garlic. If you're pulling this out of the boil, you're going to do about 2 cloves. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stir this around and get my heat all over my onions and my garlic. Now in this application, like I said, this is a shortcut supper. Typical Pasta Primavera has a lot of different vegetable options that you could use, but we are using this medley of carrots, peas, corn, green beans from our freezer section. So first things first, what I need to do is I need to knock the chill off of this. We're not going to put it into the dish frozen. We are going to go ahead and knock the chill off, and it's going to go in completely thawed into our dish. That's a big, easy trick for doing your, and I have my coffee in here. Truth be told, this is how Mama Whitten runs on coffee. You want to put your vegetables to a uncooked but thawed state. So we're going to take them and we're going to go about 1/2 of the cooking time that it recommended on the back of the bag, which was 6 minutes. I'm going to go for 3 here, and we're going to just get them thawed. And as that's doing that, that's going to make them get just nice back to their fresh state, and they're going to go into our pan really and get tender crisp at this point. So the next thing I need to do is add some salt and pepper to my onions and my garlic. Your salt is going to draw the moisture out of your onions and allow your flavorful liquid to start weeping out into your pan so it gets nice and juicy and tender and rich. That onion has a lot of sweetness in it, and it's going to add a really good depth of flavor to our dish. Now, right here in the back pot, I've got my water about to come to a boil. I see on the bottom it's getting a little bit of bubbles. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my salt in this pan too, because we always want our pasta to taste, our pasta water to taste like the ocean. I've actually seen people that are Italian chefs go into the water off of the Italian coast, get a pot full of ocean water, scoop it into their pan, and take it into their kitchen to cook their pasta. I think you end up having to match it halfway with fresh water for it to not be overly salty, but I've seen it done. Okay, so next thing, into the pan with my onions and my garlic, I'm going to get a little bit of bell pepper. That was the one vegetable that I didn't have in that particular bag. This is also optional. Whatever vegetables that you want to use is up to you. This is a great fridge clean out option. If you've got a few vegetables that are laying around in the bottom of your fridge and you're just like, none of those have enough to be anything by themselves, but if we put them together, they're going to have a very happy ending. Well, this is the dish for that. You can use squash, zucchini, peas, sugar snap peas. All of that would be delicious in here. Cherry tomatoes, asparagus, broccoli. You can use whatever you want. And to me, the more veggies, the better. Your pasta is just your vehicle to get your flavorful vegetables into your body here. Okay, so this is going to go in, and then I've got another minute left on that, and that's going to go in next. I'm going to put a little bit of basil in here. That's a little bit of the Italian seasoning that I want. Not too terribly much, because dry basil can be a little overwhelming. I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon here for this application. And at the end, I'm going to show you a very special ingredient that I keep in my pantry that really helps boost the flavor on any kind of shortcut Italian meal that you may have. But you have to stay to the end to see that one. All right, 20 seconds left, so I'm going to drop my pasta. And I've got rigatoni here today. They're just almost like little tunnels. They are. They are indeed little tunnels. They have these ridges in them that make them really good for carrying a good creamy sauce. That's why I chose these. But you can choose whatever you want. Rotini, penne, all that. Even farfalle, those cute little bow ties. I love those, especially in the spring. They remind me of Easter for some reason. I guess bow ties remind me of like dressing up on Sunday. All right, so my veggies are done. And like I said, this really does go for whatever your bag says. Whatever vegetables you choose, you're going to want to do only about half the cook time that they say on that bag. Okay, I have to get some scissors to help me, but maybe my knife will work. It'll work. There we go. It's sharp enough. Oh yeah, okay. So like I said, these are not cooked. They are just warm to where they're back to vibrant and raw, and just barely knocked the chill off. So they're going in like that. And then I'm going to go in with my Primavera sauce base, and that is some half and half. Half and half in this really carries the creaminess factor for my sauce. I'm going to grab that out of the fridge. And half is something that I almost always have on hand. So this is the go-to choice for me. If you have heavy cream on hand, you can use that. I just would not go any less fatty than a half and half. But heavy cream is delicious. So I'm going to go in with a cup and a half of half and half here. And I'm eyeballing, but you can measure if you would like to. And I'm going to return this to a simmer and add in a minute a little Parmesan cheese. But first thing I'm going to do is add in a little bit of veggie base. You can use chicken base here as well, but because this is Pasta Primavera, I wanted to keep it in the veggie realm. And this is a good thing that you would use to replace like chicken stock or vegetable stock here. We've talked before about these bouillons and bases, also known as a demi-glace maybe sometimes. Really what it is extremely reduced savory flavor from roasted vegetables or meat. So what you're going to get in a demi-glace or a veggie base or a bouillon is the reduced flavor of chicken, vegetable, or beef. It saves you so much time because basically that does the hard work for you of feeling like you've cooked something low and slow. I'm giving my pasta a little zhuzh. That's a technical term for moving it around, a stir, whatever you want to call it, just to make sure it's not sticking together. You want to keep it moving to make sure it doesn't get separated. And the next thing I'm going to do, now that my veggies are in here, I'm going to get a little bit of parm. And then we're going to thicken this up. And I'm going to show you a trick that is a go-to way to get something thick and gravy-like very quickly. And this is cornstarch. Cornstarch is a secondary way to make gravy. We've showed you how to do roux before with butter and flour and go that route for gravy and thickening. This route is very, very prevalent in Chinese food. It's also very prevalent in the ingredients that you use when you just get a gravy packet or something like that. Cornstarch is what thickens that up quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cornstarch. I'm going to add in a few tablespoons of water, about equal parts. I'm going to stir that around, and just as my cream starts to come to a little bit of a simmer, we're going to stir our slurry in. Cornstarch and water or broth mixed together is called slurry. And that's just going to make this thicken up just enough and extra grab onto our pasta so it's rich and delicious when it goes in our mouth. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to taste just a little bit. It's not going to be thickened up here, but I'm going to taste a little bit for seasoning. My salt is pretty close to good because I did just put that vegetable base in there, but I'm going to hit with some cracked black pepper. And when I put in Parmesan cheese, that was about a half a cup of parm. I have another half a cup over here, and I'm going to keep that out for garnish at the end on top. Okay, so at this point, we are waiting for our pasta to cook. I want to show you something that I've often used for a shortcut ingredient. I'll be right back to show you. Okay, this is it right here. This is prepared pesto. I love to make homemade pesto, and I do it all summer long. But during the year, I don't have an abundance of basil. And this ingredient, not only is a standalone ingredient to coat pasta itself, it's a good pizza base, a great coating for chicken, but this packs a punch as an ingredient in prepared pasta recipes. It's got basil and garlic and Parmesan cheese. I'm adding in a heaping tablespoon here. Some pine nuts and some lemon juice. It gives it a zip, and it just is one of those ingredients that it saves me so many different jars and so many different ways of prep, but it packs a huge punch. So in with my prepared pesto. You can make pesto a million different ways, but my favorite way to make pesto is I take equal parts spinach and basil, and I beef up the veggie quality of my pesto. And that basil is such a strong flavor. You don't taste the spinach. So even you could use baby kale and get a really good serving of kale into your kids that way too. I've done that before. Okay, so we're waiting for our pasta to cook. My Primavera is just bubbling away and thickening up. We'll be right back to show you how it ends.